prime time right here on cable TV. It's Taped with Rabbi Doug next.
We're gonna see Rabbi Doug. We're gonna see Rabbi Doug. We're gonna see Rabbi Doug on your TV tonight.
But Daddy, I want to watch Monday Night Football.
Forget about Monday Night Football. There's no other that we're going to watch on Monday but Rabbi Doug.
Yeah, Rabbi Doug on TV tonight. We're gonna see Rabbi Doug.
Oh, everybody talk about Doug.
Shalom and welcome to Taped with Rabbi Doug. We are here in Skokie, Illinois with two people from Israel. Eli Beer, the founder of United Hatzalah of Israel, and Yogi Rimel, who is a volunteer for United Hatzalah of Israel and also a childhood friend of mine. And welcome back to Chicago. Yogi's originally from St. Louis. Eli, where'd you grow up?
Jerusalem, Israel.
You actually are a Yerushalmi.
I'm a Sabra.
Very nice, very nice. So, you might recognize Eli's been on our show before. We taped in Washington, D.C., and they're here in Chicago talking about United Hatzalah of Israel. So, Yogi, first of all, I want to know, somebody who's living in Israel, how do you get involved in United Hatzalah? We've had Eli on, as I said before, talking about it, and we'll talk a little more about it, but how do you get involved in United Hatzalah? How did you decide to?
When I finished my EMT class, I was looking to volunteer. I was looking to be able to do what it is that I learned how to do it in the best possible manner. And through United Hatzalah and being a first responder, I'm able to do what I learned to do, which is going out and helping people. It's not every day we save lives, but every day we're helping different people. Accidents, heart attacks, strokes, you name it, we're out there to help people, and it's just the way that we are able to accomplish what our goal is, which is to help more people as quickly as possible.
Very nice. Eli, tell me, you think about, I want to do this. How did you not end up being like a person on a Magen David Adom ambulance and getting involved and saying we have to get this group together and be first responders as volunteers?
Well, look, they have many great organizations, and I'm sure a lot of people decided to go to Magen David Adom and volunteer. But when I decided I want to be a volunteer and be a medic at United Hatzalah, is because of the whole goal of the organization fits exactly what I want to be. I want to save lives. And I wanted to be in an organization that the whole organization is all about volunteerism. So United Hatzalah is an organization that's focused in volunteers. No one gets paid for saving lives. No one goes out as a volunteer, or no one goes as a medic and saves lives and gets paid for that, which is a very big difference. And many of the people get paid for work. Work actually is a job, which they deserve it because they work day and night for that. And we in United Hatzalah do not charge for our services. It was very important for me. We get there really quick. In the first 2 or 3 minutes, we treat someone and we don't charge for services, which in Magen David Adom and other ambulance services in Israel, they charge for helping people, that's the way.
It's also a business as well as.
I don't say a business, but I say this is if you want help from an ambulance service, you must pay for it, and sometimes you get insurance back. But at United Hatzalah, being a volunteer in the organization, you want to feel like you're really servicing the people of Israel. And doing it, you could do it in other ways. You could do some volunteer in Magen David Adom, volunteer in other organizations, but Hatzalah is all about it. And the same thing in Chicago. Chicago here, all the volunteers here volunteer. And
Chicago Hatzalah, which is kind of new because really Hatzalah is very popular and been around for a long time on the East Coast. And it's new to Chicago relatively. And
they're doing an amazing job. It's an organization, a local organization, not under the Israeli organization. Right. And they do service for free. No one pays for it.
Right.
And you could volunteer in a service in Chicago who charge for a service. But when a volunteer puts his neshama in day and night, and Yogi runs at him in the middle of the night or in Shabbat on Yom Kippur, he wants to know it's pure volunteerism.
Very nice. Well, we're going to listen to the two of you speak to the group that has come here to learn about United Hatzalah of Israel here in Skokie. And stay with us here on Taped with Rabbi Doug. Eli Beer, Yogi Rimel, and we'll be right back.
Chaviv Adam Shniver B'Tselem, as Rabbi Akiva taught us, the human being is precious, being created in the image of God. And that's what United Hatzalah and Hatzalah generally is meant to be about kavod habriya, about dignity, and about being there for people. And here's some amazing stories tonight. And without further ado, I'll turn over to Brielle from United Hatzalah, just make some introductory remarks before we hear from Eli and from Yogi. Thank you so much for being here.
Before we go on with Eli, I just wanted to say thank you, a special thank you to Mark and Marla Kirshner, who are very, very dear friends, and just truly remarkable people in the community. And so it wouldn't have been possible without you guys, and I love you guys. And Eli, are you ready? You got it?
So good evening to everyone, and it's really exciting to be here in Chicago. I just want to share a couple of stories and then introduce a wonderful, wonderful friend, Yogi Rimel, who everyone knows. And when I just found out, I thought he's from Chicago, but he's not really from Chicago. He's from another city. I don't even mention their name. But he's a great man, and he comes from here. He was a member of this community. So when I was traveling out of Israel to come here, I got a phone call from a woman who called me up to thank me for an event that happened that day. 2 days ago in Israel, he had a terrible car accident in the morning on the way to school. This was 7:15 in the morning on the way to Yerushalayim, coming from Givat Zev. A school bus flipped over in the middle of the road. Terrible accident with a bunch of children inside. And they had 15 kids who were injured, some more and some less. But this is 7:15 in the morning. Everyone's very busy. Every person is very, very busy, either sleeping or very busy with the children, getting children ready or getting ready to go to work, or everyone's busy at 7:15 in the morning. Well, we had about 25 United Hatzalah volunteers who responded immediately to this incident. And I said the first volunteer was there after 45 seconds. He was on the way to work, and he got the call. We have an amazing technology in Israel that we use, which within seconds, 3 seconds, we can find out who are the closest volunteers to any emergency by GPS. So we follow every single member, every single paramedic, every single EMT, and we could know who he is and where he is. And we had 25 members treating these kids who were injured. This woman said, you should just know that you guys saved my life 15 years ago in the number 2 bus, a bomb attack, coming back from the Kotel. And my daughter was saved today by your volunteers, and she wouldn't have been born if I wasn't saved myself 15 years ago by the volunteers who helped save my life on the number 2 bus, coming back literally from the Kotel, praying in the Kotel, and we had a huge attack on a double long bus in Yerushalayim, and I never forgot that attack. This was one of the worst attacks I ever saw myself. I was there treating people. I'm a medic for many years, and seeing that bus, you can't even forget. Over 100 people were injured. I can't even remember how many people were killed. I think over 25 people were killed. And she said that, I was like shivering, saying, you know, like, it's amazing what a responsibility we have as volunteers in Israel. We took upon ourselves to respond to other people's emergencies, other people's needs, while we put aside everything we are busy in. We could be busy getting our children ready for school. We can be busy getting ourselves ready to go to work, or on the way to work, or in work, or at work, or in yeshiva, or whatever we do, we would stop everything and run to help other people. And that brings us back to what United Hatzalah really does and where it came from. And I'll just share it in short, because some of you have heard it before, but I used to be a volunteer in Israel at an ambulance when I was 15 years old. And I started volunteering, and my dream was really to save someone's life. And my desire to see someone who was almost dead or dead coming back to life. And if you think about it, this woman that I heard her voice, and I don't know if I treated her or one of my volunteers, other volunteers treated her, but my dream was really to save more and more people, like in that bus attack. So I started volunteering when I was young. I was only 15 years old. In Israel, they have a huge volunteer culture. Thousands of kids look for ways how to volunteer before they go to the army. And I did it when I went to volunteer for an ambulance organization, Magen David Adom, and I volunteered for a year and a half. And all I wanted was to save someone. And I felt great because every time I would go and volunteer and help people, it's the best feeling, like the rabbi just mentioned. V'ahavta l'reacha kamocha really is the essence of every Jewish mitzvah. V'ahavta l'reacha kamocha, this is us. This is what Jews should be and do. And I did it and I felt really good, but I never got to save anyone. Because every time we got to someone who was in a serious event, like having an accident, a terrible accident, and he was not breathing, he was in trauma, or someone that stopped breathing because he had a heart attack and he had no pulse, when we got to him or to her, sometimes it was after 15 or 20 minutes. And it was too late. We couldn't do anything. And this happened many times that I was a volunteer in the back of the ambulance, and we got to this incident, and this is what it was. We got a doctor to come and sign a death certificate. And it bothered me very, very much because when I learned to be an EMT, we learned that these dolls, these mannequins, that you learn how to save a life. And you actually do the compressions and you do the breathing and everything, and the teachers tell you that if you do it correctly, you'll save this person. But one thing that is the most important thing we couldn't fight against was the time. And I knew that we have to start CPR as soon as possible. And whenever we arrived to a scene, we were always the first ones starting CPR. No one actually started before us. And that didn't make sense to me. Look, not many people know how to do CPR. I don't know how many people know how to do CPR here. How many people know how to do CPR here? Besides the Hatzalah guys who are here, the Chicago Hatzalah, don't pick up your hands because you know. But the rabbi knows how to do CPR, right? That's the obligation of a rabbi, to know how to save your members. They have to pay their dues every year. But it's a great thing to know how to save people. But unfortunately, 25 years ago when I started, not many people knew how to do CPR. So every time we went to save someone, we were the first ones to start. And it could be we came after 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 15 or sometimes 25 minutes. And we never succeeded. And I remember one incident that literally changed my life around. That was a 7-year-old boy, and I say this story over and over, but think about a 7-year-old boy who choked while he was eating lunch. He was eating a hot dog and he choked on the hot dog. And when we arrived, it was 21 minutes after the mother called, crying, hysterical, to come save her son. And she didn't know what to do. So we arrived there, and the driver, who was the ambulance driver, drove really, really fast. He wanted to get there to save his child. And we started CPRing him. And he was completely cold. One of the neighbors spilled a bucket of water to wake him up. He thought he fainted, and he saw in movies you would spill water and someone fainted, but he didn't know that the reason he was not breathing was because he choked. And we started CPR, we had to get the object out, and about 2 minutes after, a doctor who passed by saw the ambulance parked downstairs. This was a small little neighborhood in Yerushalayim, by Vagan, and he figured someone needs help. He ran upstairs and says, I'm a doctor. How can I help? And we told him what happened, so he right away rushed over to the kid and he checked him, and he said, the only thing you should do now is cover this kid. Bring a sheet to cover him. There was nothing you could do. Don't torture the body. And that minute, I started crying. This was the worst moment for me personally, to see a child who I knew could have been saved, because this is easy, very, very easy to save someone choking. And no one thought of calling this doctor who lived just 2 blocks away from there. So that moment I decided I'm not going to volunteer anymore in an ambulance, because my dream is saving people's lives. it doesn't make sense that I should continue saving lives, trying to save someone's lives 21 minutes after it happened. And I got together a bunch of my friends, and we said, we're going to start volunteering within the community, a community-based emergency response. V'haftal re'acha kamocha. We're going to go ahead, and every time someone needs help, we're going to rush over to him and help him until the ambulance arrives. And then they can take over and take the person to the hospital. The problem was we were stuck because we didn't have the emergency calls coming to us. We were 15 volunteers who were really excited about this new venture, and we didn't have a way of getting the emergency calls to us. And the ambulance organization did not want to share the calls with us. They said they're handling everything okay, they have no problems, everything is perfect. So, and we even met the head of the union, he didn't want to share, he didn't want to work with us. So we had to find ways of how to get the emergency calls, and this is 26 years ago. So we decided to use the Israeli invention called chutzpah. And we actually bought scanners, police scanners, and we tapped into their emergency calls. And that's how we stole their calls. And we heard about their emergencies by listening into their emergencies in the radio, and the walkie-talkie. And we would respond to their calls way before they even dispatched an ambulance. So a few days after we started listening, we bought 2 scanners. Of course, a lot of money then, $650 each scanner. A lot of money. They brought it in from America. A few Israelis made some money on the way. And we bought these scanners, and we were listening in. It was so exciting. And I heard of a call coming in of a 70-year-old man who was hit by a car. And I rushed out from my father's bookshop where I was working and helping my father. And I was just 16 and a half years old then, but I knew what to do, and I reached the scene within less than a minute. The person was on the floor, people around him, no one touched him. He was bleeding terribly from his neck, and I knew I have to stop his bleeding or else he's gonna die. It looked like he was on Coumadine, which was true afterwards. I found that he was, and it was very thin, the blood. So I knew I had to stop the bleeding immediately, but I didn't have any medical equipment on me. I didn't even have bandages or nothing. We just started this whole movement of volunteers. We didn't have equipment that we bought yet. So I decided to use my yarmulke to stop his bleeding. And I took off my yarmulke, and I put it straight into his neck, and I pushed it in. And a few minutes later, his blood stopped. And then about 20 minutes after I started working, the ambulance arrived. And they took this person to the hospital, and I was sure he's not gonna make it because he had a trauma, he had a multi-trauma incident, he was hit in his head and other places. So 2 days later, I was very surprised to get a phone call. This person says, "Are you Eli Beer?" I said, "Yes." They said, "Well, you treated my father on Mechuba Pisgan Vayz Vagan, and my father woke up this morning at Hadassah Hospital, and he would like to thank you personally for saving his life." Well, you could imagine what kind of feeling I had that moment. It was like literally winning the lottery, the mega lottery. It's like you can't even imagine what kind of amazing feeling it is. And I said, right away, I'm coming. And when I came there, he gave me a hug. And it was an amazing feeling. And we took off his hands. I realized he had a number here. And that even gave me it changed my life forever. Knowing I saved someone who was a Holocaust survivor from Auschwitz.
Before we made Aliyah, which is this summer will be 27 years ago, Shu used to say that we hope to be bilingual, and now we are non-lingual in 2 languages. So if I stutter or forget a word or somewhere along the way, it's partially because of that. What we do is we get there first. And this is exactly what Eli spoke about. Oh, by the way, I do not drive one of these. There are a lot of things I do. I don't drive one of these. But everything, all the equipment that's on any ambulance, and that's in all of the ambucycles I have in my trunk of my car, except for a stretcher, we have everything. This is our friend who I didn't know before June the 27th, 2011. His name is Ichko. Ichko David Eshed was out riding his bike on a regular day.
He's an Air Force pilot.
I work on the general manager of a long-term care facility south of Beit Shemesh. This is Beit Shemesh, this is Highway 38. Highway 38 is one of the major bicycling arteries in Israel. People come from all over the country to bike on that road. There's hills, there's curves, whatever. From Beit Shemesh to this, there are ambulances in Beit Shemesh, and in Beit Shemesh, the response time may or may not be bad. The one thing that we need to understand, and especially all my friends and colleagues here from Hatzalah of Chicago, is not only is it the question of response time, there's a question of turnaround time. If an ambulance from Skokie were to come to Torah, they would get back into this area within 15, 20 minutes. Even if they went as far as Lutheran General or to St. Francis or to Evanston to take whoever they took there, they're not that far away. And if there was really a bigger problem, then I'm sure Morton Grove would come or Niles would come for the transport. When an ambulance leaves Beit Shemesh, they're not going to be back for at least an hour and a half. Ichko went on a bike ride together with his friend, and they took a hike up to the top of a mountain, which was at least 400 or 500 yards up. He passed out. At this point, he really just passed out. 2 of our ambucycles got there, and they couldn't even make it up to the top of the hill. And one of our other volunteers who did have a 4x4 vehicle got most of the way up there. So there were 4 of us there, from United Hatzalah. We treated him, and at the time, because we are only a basic life support system equipment that we had, we got him on a stretcher, and we started taking him down the hill. Now, there were 4 of us, and then the ambulance finally did come, and there were 2 of them. So it took 5 of us, basically, to get him down the hill together with the equipment. If the ambulance would have gotten there by itself, there only would have been 2 guys to get this guy down the mountain. It would have never, ever happened. It's just a fact. It wouldn't have happened. The ambulance got there, 2 people. The 2 people in that ambulance were also our volunteers, and they knew where we were because they heard our conversations on our 2-way radios. While he was in the ambulance, he had which could have been a fatal heart attack. In the ambulance, and thankfully because he was in the ambulance and not up there on the top of that hill by himself or with 2 people. Our paramedic got there. There was an automatic external defibrillator in the ambulance, and they shocked him right away. They got him back more or less together with whatever drugs and whatever interventions our paramedic did. They got him to Kaplan Hospital. He got into the cardiac catheterization lab, and 6 months later, he made a party. He called it a birthday party for himself, and thank you for United Hatzalah. Erev Shabbos Chol HaMoed Pesach, 2 years ago, we got a call that Benny was running around outside somewhere, and he was bit by a snake. Benny has already been running around for 20 minutes until we got there. To make a long story short, we waited for him. This is the helicopter landing, and everybody has to turn around because when one of those helicopters land, everything within a couple hundred yards is flying around. Go back to one second. You can see I came out, Friday afternoon. I was wearing my Crocs and my shorts, but I got there, and I called for that helicopter, and there we are running with him into that helicopter. The helicopter's response time, which is about 7 or 8 minutes, and his flight time was another 6 or 7 minutes. If we would have waited for a regular ambulance, to take him to the hospital, he would have never made it. When he got to the hospital, this is him in intensive care. They gave him 4 units of antivenom. Most adults, from what I understand, only get 2 units of antivenom. But because he'd been running around for so long, because his system wasn't able to absorb all the poison in his system, they needed to really try very hard to save his life. They did. A few days later, during Pesach, as we know in the hospitals in Israel, the medical clowns came to cheer him up and to make him feel better. He's still in intensive care here. And this is Benny, I don't know, a few months ago, playing around with his little brother. If we wouldn't have gotten there and we wouldn't have called for that helicopter, he wouldn't have made it. That's all. Today he's a 12-and-a-half-year-old kid running around. He still has 2 little scars on his leg. He certainly remembers what happened, but it's just a simple question of time. We got there first, we got the whole ball rolling, and we got him to the hospital in time. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to do it. Spoke about this before. This is what we do. I want to thank Eli Beer for allowing me to volunteer and have these success stories. They're not always success stories, unfortunately. But I can't thank you, Eli enough, the organization enough, and everybody who helps us. Thank you very much.
Yogi, I had tears in my eyes listening to you too. Ichko and Tali became very close friends of mine, and we talk a lot. And their son, they had one son they had 2 kids. One was killed in Lebanon. It was not the first war, it was the second war. Or in between or something, I'm not sure which, but it was like a young kid who was killed in the war. He was a pilot, and he met his wife while he was a helicopter pilot in Yom Kippur War. Tali, she's an amazing woman. And their son, their second son, was alive, and he's an amazing kid, and he had a baby, did the course by us and became an EMT.
Welcome back. I want to thank the 2 of you for sharing your stories with us. It's been amazing. I want to thank all of you for being with us. I hope that you have a lot of Hatzalah success continued in saving lives in Israel. United Hatzalah of Israel. It's an amazing thing. IsraelRescue.org is their website. And I want to thank all of you for being with us. Remember, you should check out our website, www.tvrabbi.com, where you can see Eli on my show before and other former shows also on the web. If you want to email them or email us, info@tvrabbi.com. I will forward to either one of them, and I know they'll get back to you personally with your questions. Hope to see you next time right here on Taped with Rabbi Doug. Shalom, everyone.
And I'm talking about Rabbi Doug. Talking about Rabbi Doug. Talking about Rabbi Doug on your TV show. Well, he's the rabbi for me. Anytime you need. You're gonna get married or you're gonna die. Gonna see Rabbi Doug. Gonna see Rabbi Doug. Gonna see Rabbi Doug. Gonna see Rabbi Doug on the TV tonight.
This has been a Taped with Rabbi Doug production.